Virgo, hi, great to see you. I've just been doing some spiritual work and I am now really feeling in the mood to do your October Virgo reading. Of course, the zodiac comes into play, the astrology and the various planets, of course the tarot and the numerology. I must say it's good to see you again. And it's great also to see those of you who come back again and leave comments from the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Spain, Italy, Brazil, Iceland, among other places, as well as India. Good to see everybody in India. Nice to see you. And the Philippines, as well as Australia and New Zealand. Very good to see you. Let me now get these spiritual energies into this, shall we? Okay. Let's do this. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you watching. And I know that I know from your comments that you love the readings, and so I hope that you will love this one too. I'm going to draw 5 cards as usual because that's all we need to get to the in-depth as to what's going on in your life. And there is the 8 of coins. That's a very good card for you, Virgo. There is the Ace of coins. What have you got coming on in the way of money and standard of living this month? The 10 of cups. There is the Hermit. A lot of you in the Hermit. And there is the 9 of coins, the 8 of coins, the 9 of coins, the Ace of coins. Gee, it's the right time, isn't it? I'll bring a light over, shine it down on these cards here so you can have a good close look when you come to sit down next to me. And I'll do the reading for you. Okay, Virgo, what a really good and good luck spread of cards you have here. I'm going to deal with this card first, I think. Just got something to say, I think. Just let me reach behind me and get my pen so I can point out a few things about, well, I should point out a few things about the card. Let's have a look at the imagery of this Hermit. I don't know that I've seen it before. Let's have a look at him. Well, there in the background is what I would say Mount Athos. Now on Mount Athos in Greece, there was at the time a monastery, and they were known as the monks of Athos. And this is the headdress that the monks of Athos wore. This cloak that's around him would have originally have been black, but I would say it's been faded by the sun. His undergarment is made out of straw. What is interesting also is the staff that this hermit has with him. It contains at the bottom a coiled snake which is eating its tail, and that is a sign of eternity. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 roses, which show the 7 stages of life from bud through to full bloom. And the familiar lantern that the hermit always carries with him is shaped in the form of an hourglass, I'd say. Well, what can we say about the Hermit for you, the prophet of the eternal, the magus of the voice of power is what I call him. This is very much a Virgo card, and it is Mercury ruling Virgo with Mercury exalted as well, so tremendous amount of communication skill with you. I think that you may well during this period become something of a mentor to somebody else. You will have a a desire to learn new things. You'll have an illumination from within. You could even have what you might refer to as divine inspiration in respect to a situation, a relationship, or a matter, or a problem. I think what might happen is you'll say, look, I don't know how to handle this, so give it to God. And, sometime later, usually within a few days, there's the answer. I think that you might well call that divine inspiration, I think. Let me just pull it out so we can see it in the context of the other cards as well. I am alone in a cold, grey, desolate land. There is no other to be found, no companion to ease the going. Yet you are the light I bear, even when I don't know it, and the strong staff that supports me. This is fertility in its most exalted sense. So the attribution of that fertility to Virgo is just an encouragement towards that fertility sort of energy, I think, that's coming around there. I think that you'll be someone who doesn't want to compromise your values. You will want either a significant relationship or you won't want one at all. And it doesn't have to be just in emotional relationships. That can be to do with family relationships or even business relationships or friendships. I think that there's going to be, for you, a need to complete things from the past before moving forward. I have really much the sense that you're going to be gifted at manual work, art during this period, and that can include things like cooking, that can include interior decoration, it may extend to gardening if you have a garden, it can also extend to fashion and makeup and hair design, things like that. I think this is going to be a time when I think that you're really going to want to be looking after your body and taking care of your health. I think is going to be very important, and I think you do need to take care of your health during this period, and you'll be sprucing up your surroundings, I think. It could also be that you get away from a situation in order to get a better insight into it, becoming aware of something that you were previously in the dark about. I suspect that may well be something that comes up as well, and I think it's also possible that you will be spending some alone time, I think, to recalibrate yourself, to work out what it is that you do really want and what it is that you are getting out of life and out of relationships. Now let me have a look at this card that follows. I'll deal with the suit of Earth, the three cards in Earth following, but I want to deal first with this card in the center, the Ten of Cups. Let's have a look at it. Here is the 10. Well, we have 3, 6, 9 cups standing up, and the 10th one acts as a sort of a doorway through the moat. There is a couple, probably just newly married, standing on this cup here, and about to enter into this cup, which is a temple, I suppose. The buildings are all in good repair. There's construction going on. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of opulence. There's a lot of what can I say? There's a very good feeling associated with this. The Lord of Perfected Success, I call this card, and the astrology of it, for me, is Mars ruling the third decan of Pisces, that 9th of March to the 19th of March. Now, Mars can, I think, sometimes be very impersonal, quite rambunctious, fiery, argumentative, and I think that there is the risk that Mars can come in and be disruptive, really, and conflict with the peaceful nature of Pisces. Look, I'm getting the energy of a being of light or of a center of consciousness around here, and it's what I call your Bemeya. It's one of the 72 names of God. I won't go into how they're derived at the moment, but they are sourced from out of, in the Hebrew text, a book in the Hebrew Bible and Old Testament called Exodus, chapter 14, verses 19 to 21. From them were derived 72 names of God, because they found that each of those 3 verses each had 72 letters in it. And I thought, gee, that's unusual, so let's have a deeper look. Yahweh. Now, that name substitutes for the name of God, which is written in another book of the Old Testament and Hebrew Bible called Genesis. And it's the first verse in that book, and that is, when God began to create heaven and earth. Well, that is actually what it says, when God began to create heaven and earth. In the Hebrew, it doesn't actually say in the beginning, as we've all come to know and love, but when God began to create heaven and earth. Now, meditating on that angel, or that name of God, Yahweh, and on that verse, Genesis 1:1, it will... You will find that you overcome feelings of doubt or panic or thoughts of dread. It's incredibly beneficial for getting rid of any of those things. So for those who may be having some sort of anxiety, that will take care of the problem for you. This is a card, I think, which is talking about a great deal of emotional passion and vitality, but it's a 10, right? And the 10 is about to devolve, and the energy in this suit of cups is the energy is about to pass through this 10 of cups and pass into the Ace of Swords. So what we're talking about here is, although there's happiness, it's a sort of a fleeting sort of happiness which is short-lived and which might be thought to really lose its ability to fulfill you. And I'm thinking here in relation to consumer things, like, I might go and buy a new pair of shoes or get a new phone or something, and then, a week or two later you go, oh, why did I do that? I never wanted to have that. I shouldn't have had it. It's stupid. Well, we get things that we think will make us happy, but then we get bored and then we move on to the next thing. Now, in a relationship sense, I suppose it could relate to the loss of pleasure in what the relationship brings, and therefore we either have to alter the dynamic of the relationship or move away from it. Now, I'm never one for wanting to move away from relationships unless the person is just really destroying you. But so try and alter the dynamic of relationships and reinvigorate them. Because it's not as if you're not happy, but I'm getting very much the sense here of fullness, this 10 is like, that's the end. It's like the bucket which has been filled with water. When it gets to the top, you can't put any more water in. That's it. And so you kind of come to the end of what the thing has to offer, I think. But just be aware of that. But in any other sense, that's a fleeting sort of a moment that you might have. But in other respects, to me, it's pretty clear that from an emotional point of view, you are going to be very satisfied during this month. But that's a satisfaction which has come about from, I think, a lot of the things which you do, a lot of the things which are a result of your moving things forward, you putting energy into the situation, you extending yourself, as you so very often do, don't you? In fact, you so often overextend yourself, and so there could be a sense of a staleness which comes into it. But I think it will be reinvigorated again, so don't be concerned about it. But just be aware of that if it comes up, so don't be taken by surprise if you have that feeling, but be assured that it is a feeling that's going to press on. Now, I'm going to look at what I like in these coins. Now, which one will I deal with? We've got the Ace of Coins in the top right. We have the 8, and then the 9. That 9 energy looks like it's been around for a while. Let's have a look at this Ace of Coins first. See what there is to say here by looking at the imagery. First of all, we can say that Here is a young child, winged, wrapped with red, and here are two sprouts from this thing, which has very much got that earthy root feeling to it, doesn't it, from the suit of earth, this coin. And there are two things which have then sprouted from it. The coin, this child is holding up this coin, and what does this coin have in it? Well, it's representing to me, I think, the age of gold, because here in the front there is a treasure chest full of gold. There is a queen and a king naked, eating grapes. Here is someone playing a pan flute. There are two fruit trees, probably from the Garden of Hesperides, I would say. A child playing, another child playing. Here is an ox lying down with a lamb. Very kind of lovely pastoral sort of a scene to it, isn't it here? This would be, I suppose, a golden calf. And this man and woman playing with one another joyfully and naked there. This golden calf has on it this sort of headdress, this crown, which is in Egyptian mythology the crown of Hathor, who was the goddess of love. And it shows through the background of it there, the sacred mountain, is just how I read it. Now, what does it say? It says that, well, I see it as being the root of the powers of the earth, this card. Aces are all about potential. Now, people who may well be important to you during this period include Taurus, from the suit of earth. It could be other earth signs. But I also think that it's liable to be someone who is a Gemini or an Aries. And if their sun sign's not that, then that is either a Taurus or a Gemini or an Aries, then it may well be their ascendant, I think. I think what we're really seeing here is that this is demonstrating the first thing I'll notice is that this coin, people often represent or think of coins or the suit of earth as being just related to money. But this scenery here demonstrates to me the real complexity of life itself and the real variety of life. And so this appears to me to be standard of living. That is, all those things which go to make up your enjoyment of life for you as it is. And I think that what this is saying is that this is talking about the beginning of something really tangible for you. It's talking about the potential for prosperity and growth. And I see that being amplified by these later cards, which I get to. These have all come through for a reason. So prosperity and growth, really getting a sense of material abundance in that sense of standard of living. I do get the feeling of improving finances, I think. Maybe you're doing some budgeting, or maybe there's some sources of extra money or some unexpected money coming your way, but I do see improving finances, possibly a promotion or extension of responsibility, maybe even a pay rise. Certainly good luck. You will have a really deep well of grounded, practical, organizational ability during this period. That's definitely something that I'm getting from it. I think that you'll be able to organize. I think you'll be able to prioritize. I think you'll be able to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. I think that you should have this affirmation in mind during this period, because I think it suits this card, and it's one which is coming, and it is: wealth is my natural condition. It allows me to express my spirituality and creative potential in this world. I am in harmony with the flow of nature. Now, aces represent new beginnings and opportunities, and in the suit of earth relates to, very often, work projects or new business. I think that you may get a new understanding of yourself simply by the observation of nature and its seasons, and this season that we're in at the moment in particular. There may well be for you a spiritual realization that we're all connected and that everything really is a part of everything else. Well, the card is beautifully painted, I think, and it represents and evokes the magnificent energy that's coming to me for you from that card. I will say this though, we then go up to the 8 of coins. Now, numerologically, I love the number 8. I love it because it deals with power, it deals with stability, it deals also with decision, I think. And mystically for me, it's about formation. It's about it's about the ability to form, to start to crystallize, to crystallize energy and bring things to make them happy. It also has an association for me with the planet of Mercury, which of course is your ruler. So this is very fortuitous for you. But what's even more fortuitous for you, as I may say here, is that for me, the astrology of this card is the Sun ruling the first decan of Virgo, at 23rd of August to the 2nd of September. Now, I call this card the Lord of Prudence. Let's have a quick look at some of the imagery that's here. This is actually probably the artist of the deck with his wife and daughter and probably his cat, or their cat there with them, their pet cat. But the artist is going through and he's painting these coins together, and I think that he's climbed up the stepladder to paint a coin which is showing first the Magician. The next card down shows the Popess with the sign of the moon below. Then the Empress with Venus. The Emperor with Jupiter. What's this card over here? Can I make that out? Yeah, that's Strength with Mars. Then the Star with Mercury. Judgment with Saturn. And then the World card with the Sun. And this is interesting. The artist is using, he's got like a ball thing on the end of his paintbrush here, and what people used to do, and maybe they still do, is that they use those as a sort of a counterweight on their hand when they're painting frescoes or doing ceilings and things like that. So all those guys like Michelangelo and what have you, guys like that, they would have used those types of things. So Mercury is ruling Virgo. The Sun in Virgo is what I have as the astrology. And as I say, Mercury, as associated with this number 8, is both the ruler of and exalted in Virgo. So this is very favorable for you. And I think that with the Sun in Virgo, as I see the astrology, what's happening is that the Sun really just energizes Virgo's hard work and attention to detail. I think what this card is saying, that sometimes you just need patience to let things grow. There is, what I might say, a strength sometimes in doing nothing, just by sowing the seed, sitting back, and then waiting for the harvest, if I can put it that way. I'd say that what's also important is that it's saying that I think that you need time and patience to develop something. Don't rush it, as as I'm getting the feeling that it's a long-term thing, and be prepared to bide your time and let it come to fruition. The card is encouraging you to keep doing what you're doing, as it will eventually lead to success. Sure, I know it requires a lot of dedication and focus and patience, but as time passes, you get closer to your goal. Now, it may not be apparent to you, but events are unfolding, I'm getting, in the background that are going to lead you to your destination. Now, of course, additional training or study might be required to advance to where you want to go. That's normal. Read up things on the internet, research recipes, for example, or check out new styles of things. But what I've got to say to you is this, is that I think that you really need to manage your energies between the different parts of your life. And I'm also looking at this card here, which has got a lot going on with it. You can really overextend yourself at times, I think. And I think what you do need to do is to make sure you manage those energies in the different parts of your life. That's what the card is saying is going to be happening to you. Let's have a look at this one. Now this comes straight. So you've got the Ace, the 8, and the 9 of coins. Very good for material events and affairs. The 9, well, I love the number 9 anyway. It's the sacred number. Here we have coins that really have just got goats' heads depicted on them. We have a situation of a path which is going through. Here is a gold ring which has obviously been lost and left behind. This character is, I'd say from his colour, the Page of Swords, and he's looking backwards at that. Here is a woman with a falcon on her hand. This woman is, look, I think that this is, in the Rider-Waite deck in the 9 of coins, the protagonist of that card is a woman with a falcon on her hand, so that may well be something that's the artist paying a tribute to that former deck. And here is somebody in a raincoat with a umbrella, getting ready, walking ahead and contemplating this storm that's ahead. But is there a storm ahead for you at this time? I don't think it is, because I think what this card is talking about is, well, first I'll give you astrology of it. It's Venus ruling the 3rd decan of Virgo again. This time the 3rd to the 12th of September. Now, Venus is concerned with love and money, and, well, these are both expressions of your values, pleasures, tastes, aren't they? Well, they are of mine. And I think that what Venus is saying is that if your heart is pure and you follow your heart, your life can only gain from this, and good fortune is going to attend your material affairs. It could well relate to money more than standard of living in this, because we're getting to the end of the suit, and sometimes it can kind of narrow down a bit, and it may be relating to money. I see gain. I don't see wealth, but I see gain. Financial and the energy of personal independence coming about here, or material security. I think there are projects or situations that are underway here, and could have been underway, for a few weeks now, that will actually come about to produce material gain for you. I mean, as I say, I want to stress that this is not wealth, but you will look back at this period and you will say, you know what, he was right. If I look at where I am now compared to where I was back then, my life has improved. I think you'll see general improvement in all the areas of your life. Certainly, I very much get a sense of karmic reward out of this, and, well, you've put out a lot. You have put out a lot, and you have put up with a lot. And I think what's happening is that there's now being a recognition of this, and there's some sort of things coming through in your life now are going to start paying back those checks that you handed out. They're coming back, and they're being returned with interest. I think your planning and hard work is going to lead to improved financial conditions for you, I think. I'd say that everything that happens today serves my growth. The more I give, the more I receive. And check carefully whether that which you call gain is in full harmony with your ultimate goal. If your knowledge and creativity are filled with love, you'll gain from all situations in life. The more deeply you are engaged, the more comprehensive your insights will be. Well, that's the way it is for you this month. Well, there we are. There it is. The month of October for you. I really hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. I think it's going to be a fantastic month and you've got great things in store for you, so well done. All I can say is this, is that you've been absolutely brilliant. You've been fantastic, as you always are. And really the only thing that remains for me to say is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.